Hey everybody, welcome back to the Badgerland Birding Podcast, bringing you birding news and stories from the Badger State and beyond. Today we're with Aaron Grych from the band Quokka, who actually reached out because they released a bird-themed album. I guess I shouldn't say they. Is it just you or is it you and a band? Just you.
You're looking at the studio right now.
Cool. So give us a little bit of background here. Let's start off with, I'm a big fan of music and birds. I'm a musician myself and of course a birder. So what came first? Were you first interested in music or birds?
Music, definitely. I've been making tunes in various bedrooms across the Madison area since about 2018. And only recently, pandemic wise, got into birding, as so many other people did, and wanted to marry those two loves because I thought, frankly, I was tired of writing songs that were just specifically about myself and things that I were thinking about and wanted to have a little bit of fun with it. So
Sure. So when you started doing this, like, do you have songs out under a different name as well? And this is like a different project, or has it always been stuff for Quokka?
it's always been Quokka. I mean, frankly, the hardest thing in music is thinking of a band name. And so I thought of this one back in college and I've just stuck with it.
Cool. And then so the birding happened during the pandemic, what was it like? How did you even hear about it in the first place?
Well, a good friend of mine is somebody who just likes to spend all of his free time outside, and he started up a birding Instagram page. Again, as so many people did during the pandemic. And we would go out to various parks around the Dane County area together and just kind of poke around, look at this and that and the other. And then just one day we went on one that was much more bird focused over, remember, I think one specifically that stands out in memory is over at Dalton County Park and a picture of a northern meadowlark, or no, eastern meadowlark is what is on the cover of the album from
Hmm.
that day. And so we were just going out, seeing what we could see, finding what we could find, and eventually that just turned into me getting that spark for it and pushing it in my own life, which was especially helpful for walks around outside during the pandemic.
So would you say the Eastern Meadowlark is kind of your spark bird, like one that really got you into it, or was it a different one?
Yeah, I would say that one got me into birding. I was very into just kind of walking around and going, oh, hey, there's a bird. That's nice.
Yeah.
But that was one of the first ones that I thought, hey, this one actually has a name and a song and a specific look to it, rather than just the usual splay of sparrows that are always poking around outside.
Sure. I was thinking about this today because I was out fishing on Lake Michigan, and I didn't have stuff particularly to go birding. Like I didn't bring binoculars or anything. And when you're not really focused on it, there's just kind of birds around, and you could see how to a regular person they just kind of lump them all in as the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, there's like a gull, there's like a cormorant. But once you actually get to see them up close, and you're able to have some kind of optics, or if you go to a banding thing and you get to see one up close and realize, oh, these are all different, and they're all unique. I feel like that really changes it. And I think it's tough for birds because with other types of animals, a lot of the times you can hold them and it's easier to see them up close. Like fish, you can catch it, be like, look at this cool fish I caught. Or like,
Mhm.
with a snake, you can look at it up close. Or someone has a pet turtle you can hold. But with birds, a lot of the times it's long distance kind of stuff. So even being someone in the media space, it makes it a little harder to showcase because you're like, I found this thing. Look at it at a distance instead of like holding it and showing the feathers and all that kind of stuff, unless you're at like a banding kind of thing. So I feel like once you're able to see things up close and you start noticing it, it's crazy what's all out there.
Does take that little extra visual push. And for myself and like so many others, that was Merlin
Sure.
that was able to help me pick out different things. Because normally I just be walking around and I go, oh, that sounds like a cardinal. It wasn't. Or, oh, that sounds like a robin. Probably also not. But being able to discern it that way and start learning through an actual dex, I think that's probably about as close as you can get to holding one in your hand.
Yeah, was it Pokemon for you first? Like, were you a Pokemon guy growing up?
How did you know?
I just see, it just makes sense. Yeah. Because people say, bird. I feel like Merlin, especially with the way that like things pop up on the phone, it makes it even feel more like Pokemon. Kind of just having things to check off, and it feels like a Pokedex. Um, have you connected your? Are you an eBird guy? Do you use eBird?
No.
So if you use eBird and you connect it to Merlin, it feels even more like a Pokedex
Okay.
because I'll show you. There's a section where it's like life list, and then it has the place where you saw the bird, and then like a picture next to it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so like it really feels like a Pokedex then, and it shows you like the place that you saw it and all that. So I
I
feel like
like
there's
that.
definitely a appeal for that.
It's like Pokemon Go if it wasn't stealing your data.
Yeah, I hope Merlin and eBird aren't stealing my
They
data,
can
but
have it, frankly,
you're like it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
right? It's just like, man, this person keeps seeing robins.
Yeah.
That's all they'd get from me.
So tell me about the album. Like when did you decide this was something I'm gonna, fully dive into? It's called Lifer, which of course is cool. And it's got is it 10 tracks?
Yes.
So it's got 10 tracks. We got Northern Flicker. So they're all named after the bird too. Sandhill Crane, Common Loon, Northern Cardinal, Sparrow, Red-winged Blackbird, American Woodcock, Chickadee, Mourning Dove, and Robin. So how did you pick those 10 to do?
Those 10 primarily came from having a call that would be recognizable.
Hmm.
In in the world of making music, it's all audio. And I needed to pick something out, and I wanted to pick something out that maybe you could hear just walking around a neighborhood on a regular day, and things that you could pick out and have them be noticeable. Um, I think pretty much all of those are pretty iconic calls as far as birds go. And there are some other ones here and there that could fit in there, like a classic little red-tailed hawk or
Yeah, that was one I was
the
thinking
bald
could probably
eagle.
go on there too.
But just one of the things that were a little bit more common.
Sure. I did read an article that was talking about how you would have loved to put American Flamingo in here, but it's not a recognizable noise people would know. And
Mm-hmm.
I do, agree with that decision. It is funny because when they did come up, our friend Rob, he was able to get an audio recording of one.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, which is cool because, like, who gets to hear flamingos make noise and then actually get a recording of it? But yeah, I think that's one where people would be like, what is that? Also, if you put in red-tailed hawk, people would probably be like, I like the bald eagle one, because they always use the red-tailed
Mhm.
hawk over in commercials and movies for bald eagle or other raptor noises. So, which one do you think is your favorite out of the 10?
Out of the 10, I got to go with Red-winged Blackbird. That was the one that came along the quickest, which in any sort of art media sphere, usually the best stuff is the stuff that takes the least amount of time to form itself. That one did it in a weekend, and it's for one that I really enjoy. It's when we always close this when we play, but I also just love the red-winged blackbird. It's my personal favorite bird.
Hmm.
I love that it marks the start of warm spring. So whenever I'm recently going through 4 or 5 months of winter and coming out and going outside, when I start to see those, I know it's time that the winter is actually starting to fade away.
Yeah. When you do these, do you start with the bird vocalization or do you start with the music and then put the bird vocalization in there?
A little mix of both. For the most part, it would be making an instrumental, seeing what that sounded like just from an energy standpoint, if it was something frantic, if it was something mellow, and taking my concept of what those birds mean and what they could be related to, and weaving that into the instrumental first. For one of the songs, it was American Robin. That one I just started with the bird call and wanted to mimic it with the guitar line,
Hmm.
but it made itself in pretty easily. I mean, all calls are of a certain high frequency, and those just blend in beautifully with music.
Did you feel like your perception of the bird changed after you made a song with their vocalization?
Absolutely. Well, I was gonna say, depending on which bird it was. So for the ones that it took longer to pull lyrics in a story from, where I had to go scroll the Wikipedia a good two, three, four times. Absolutely. Getting to know them a little bit more. Um, the song Chickadee, which I did for Dexter Patterson, because I was trying to compile a list and I just asked him what his favorite bird was and I made one for that. It took me a while to figure out what the story was behind that one. I wanted to attach it to some sort of characteristic that it has naturally. So I decided to hone in after a while on its natural caching ability and its memory. It's a pretty smart little guy. And just trying to think of what the idea was and the story was, and coming out of that with the fact that it's this little bird, not very high on the food chain, an easy target for bigger hawks or what have you. And it's something that goes around and stores food wherever it can, whenever it can, planning for that rainy day that it might not get. And I just thought that was a great story of optimism and hope for the future. And now when I see them popping around, doing their little chickadee thing, I think, you go, little man.
Yeah, we did five things you didn't know about chickadees video recently, and one of the facts was that their hippocampus can grow and shrink depending on the time of year. So when they're caching stuff, it actually enlarges itself so they can help remember all the stores of food. And then when food is more abundant, it actually shrinks down in size. I'm like, what a wild thing to be able to do.
That's amazing.
I know, chickadees. There's a lot to the to those little guys. Um, was there one that you tried to do? You're like, I want to do this one that ended up not working out.
Oh, that's a great question. There definitely was along the way. It's been so long that I've forgotten a lot of them. There's a whole pile of old instrumentals and beats somewhere deep in my computer. Um, but for the most part, it was, I think Red Winged Blackbird took the most time fitting between different instrumentals. So some took a while to find the right spot for them, but for the most part, I was able to take my list of 10, do that list of 10.
Okay. Are you planning on doing a sequel?
That's what I don't know yet. It's I've spent the last 2 years or year and a half really writing songs about parallels to birds, and now that's just what I know how to do.
Hmm.
And so I've tried to make other things since then, and I'll go through the process and get to the stage where I have to think about lyrics or what a subject would be. And I'm drawing a blank other than birds. I got to figure out what else I
That's
can
how it
write
gets you.
about.
It's like I can't think about anything else now that I know about these birds. Um, what do you feel like was the biggest challenge with the project?
I would say capping it. It started off as a 4 or 5 song EP, and then it became six, and then it became seven, and then it became eight, and then it became 10. Because I just didn't want to do the mixing part of it. It's
Hmm.
all self-produced, self-mixed, and that's not the fun part. The fun part is the making of the song and the recording of it. So, which takes like I would say about 40% of the time, and the mixing takes about 60% of the time, even though it's just that last little push. And that's not the fun part. And I wanted to keep doing the fun part.
Do you feel like you're really particular about your mix? Like you keep going through it and like listen to it in the car and then listen to it, and then everything's got to be tweaked and all that?
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah,
I've listened to each of these songs at least like 1,000 times through. So then I put it out and I was finally like very happy to have it done and have it in the world. And I don't have a drive to listen to it because I've listened to each song at least 1,000 times.
sure. Maybe you should outsource your mixing. Like maybe it would be worth not being aggravated by the
It would
perfection of
be.
it,
It
you
would
know?
be. I couldn't let that go.
Yeah, I gotcha. What do you find the reception has been to the project?
It's been lovely. All I wanted to do was just continue to make music, and I found that people have clung on more to it than I expected to. I'm doing a route of public radio and birding podcasts right now, which is exactly where
It's
I
a good
wanted to
place to
be.
be. Yeah.
It's a great place to be. Anyone can get on a music magazine for making music. I'm over here on the niche hobbies.
Um, Do you feel like it's attracted more birding people? Like I guess how often do you play live?
Play live about once every other month, just in the Madison area.
Do you feel like it's been a lot of birding people coming out?
I feel like I've gotten a lot of people excited about the concept of birds and music. When I play this through live, I'm only using people.
Hmm.
I haven't had the time or figured out a way to splice in these calls as they are appear on the record. Um,
You got to bring the live bird in
right?
itself.
I've
Be like,
tried.
hey, Meadowlark, if you could call at this particular time, that'd be great.
It's hard enough maintaining the schedules of four adults to get
Sure,
an
yeah.
animal in there. It's tough.
Yeah. Um, I guess if you had like an Ableton Live, a lot of bands that I've seen have had like they all use Ableton Live backing.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's so limited to what's actually live then. It's all timed out and
Mhm.
there's, every particular I don't think a lot of people notice. I think a lot of people are just kind of like, "Oh, music." But
Yeah.
if you make music or play music yourself, you're like, well, there's keys and there's no keyboardist up there, and they're like, "Oh, there's a
Yeah.
laptop in the corner," that they are going through and stuff like that. For people that don't know, Ableton Live is a like a producing platform, but you can also have like your show set up through it. So basically you can have all the backings to your song play and you just take out whatever you want to do live. So like you'd have your album on there, but you would take drums out and you'd have like the live drummer and you could take the vocals out or you just have the harmonies in there and stuff like that. So I guess you could do that if you wanted to have the bird songs
Thought
going.
about it, but I'm pretty anti click track.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I think that some of the beauty of live music is the fact that it's created just in that moment alone, and that for a lot of those things, it won't ever be the same twice.
Hmm.
That and I'm a local band. We're playing around. Don't necessarily have the capacity to add that on, but I like the fact that it's just pure organic people playing instruments.
Yeah, I gotcha. What were some of the musical inspirations for the project? I have
Oh,
one that I like. I was like, when I was listening to it, I
yeah.
was like, this kind of sounds like this band and this band. So I'm curious to know if that.
Before I go in, I would love to hear that because I can never describe to other people what it actually sounds.
Do you want me to do that first or do you want to go
Yes,
first?
go for it. I want to
Okay,
see what.
so Sparrow for sure reminded me of Guster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. This will all be yours someday, which was in the big year. That was the vibe that I was getting.
I like that.
I don't know how accurate this is, but I was kind of getting a Death Cab for Cutie vibe for
Sure.
some of them. Those were the two that really came to mind for me.
I appreciate that. I mean, I was raised on the National and Wilco, so that's all very much in that wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But for this one, I wanted a lot of it to be very local. And so for specific songs, poking in here and there, it really tried to hone in on what are the sounds of Madison bands. We have got what are the sounds of Wisconsin birds, but what are the sounds of Wisconsin bands as well? It's not really something that has a specific defined sound to it, but I went in and I looked at bands like Spooner, especially from Madison. If you're familiar, older band from the 80s, had Butch Vig in it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Some of their stuff that all of that 80s stuff has come right back into style. Looked at for some louder, heavier stuff, bands like Disc, or I got a good friend from northern Wisconsin who's in a band in Michigan now that's doing pretty well called Liquid Mike. And there's one song that I somewhat transposed an old riff of his for. Um, Northern Flicker is inspired by the Bodines out of Milwaukee. I wanted an excuse to use an accordion like they do from time to time.
Okay.
Sandhill Crane was based off of, I saw Tani Diakite and the Afro Funk Stars, a Madison band, at high noon, and I went home and I made that song. And overall, I would say the prevailing influence would be Fountains of Wayne.
Okay. Gotcha.
Just some good old fashioned power pop. Everything leads to a chorus. Every chorus is big.
Hmm. Gotcha. So I went to High Noon for the first time about a
Oh
week
yeah.
ago. Yeah, so I'd been to the Sylvie a couple
Mhm.
times. So I played at the Sylvie, not in like the the big part of it, but like the little private room.
Oh
It was
yeah.
something that somebody wanted to do in Milwaukee where they were bringing a bunch of their people from their company on a bus. So it was like playing music on the bus and then playing in the private room and then playing back on the bus. So it was a really interesting thing.
Was the
But
bus
love the
moving?
yes. So the microphone was also moving. I
All
was trying
right.
to play and sing. So it was like it would like hit you in the face and stuff. It was an experience. But love the Sylvie. I've seen, a bunch of bands in there. I saw Boys Like Girls in there, which was really good. I saw Alec Benjamin there, Laney. Yeah, love the venue. Didn't know High Noon was like next to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to go see Double Camp, who I ended up birding with Jordan.
Oh yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
yeah, which was really fun. We went out and did some birding at a Pheasant Branch Conservancy, and he was like, "Oh, I played Wingspan before," and like I was always kind of like curious about birds and stuff, and I we just had a blast going out and looking at different stuff, and we saw like a lot of cool stuff that I think he may, if he gets really into birding, I think he'll appreciate it more later. Because like when I started birding the first year, I saw like a gyrfalcon.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then you don't know how rare it is until it's like 10 years later and you're like, I've never seen another one of those since the first year
Wow.
that I went out. But we saw a lot of cool stuff. And then I went to High Noon and I didn't think it'd be crazy crowded with parking, but there turned out there was a sold out show at the Sylvie. So I ended up parking like 20 minutes away and walking.
That'll
But
do it.
yeah, it's a cool little venue that they have there.
It's my favorite in the city by far. I saw my first show there in Madison, which was Saint Motel back in 2015.
Okay, nice.
Um, and I grew up in the Milwaukee area, going to shows at Paps in the Riverside
Yep.
and going to these places that were a little more ornate and a lot more pomp and circumstance around them. And then I walk into the High Noon, and there's the same motel guys just kind of walking around because the green room at the High Noon is the size of a small closet. So most of the time, the bands are just hanging out, and you get to have that experience of being able to just talk to people, and the experience of the stage being not too high and right on top of the crowd.
Yeah, what's the capacity of that venue?
I want to say it's like 300 or so.
Wow, I feel like you'd really have to pack people in there.
Yeah, there's an upstairs galley with pinball.
Okay.
Um,
I didn't even
and
check
then
that out.
yeah, absolutely. It's a wonderful place to be.
Cool.
Coziest show in Madison.
I'll have to visit. So we talked a little bit about the influences for some of the music, but what's just like your favorite bands that you had growing up and like now what are you listening to
Oh,
besides
number one,
Birds?
Steely Dan.
Steely Dan?
Love Steely Dan. I could never make anything like Steely Dan, so I always just put that aside. I can't
You're like
track these
Steely
chord
Dan can make
changes.
that. I don't need to
Yeah,
make that.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's already done. I will go see Steely Dan when they're in town, and I do frequently. Um, and then after that, I have a lot of love for bands, like I said, like the National, Fountains of Wayne. Matt Carmichael is one of my favorites. He's a saxophone player out of Scotland, making what I believe to be the world's best melodic jazz at the moment.
Hmm.
And then Old 97s
Oh yeah, old 97s are good.
was raised on that as well. A lot of stuff, whatever you hear on college radio is typically where it gets summed up to.
College radio. Gotcha. How was Saint Motel?
Fantastic. And haven't seen them since 2015, but walking in all wide-eyed and seeing the people that I only heard on the soundtrack of FIFA before then.
Oh, okay, which song was on there?
They had a couple actually. I think they had My Type was on there and Cold Cold Man. They were FIFA darlings. I remember talking to them
Is
about
that kind of how they got famous?
this.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I feel like they did really well with licensing with like Move and stuff and
yeah,
all
because
that.
I saw
So,
them at the High Noon. That
yep.
was like the year after that FIFA came out, and they booked those well in advance. And then like 2 years later, I want to say they were coming and playing a Sylvie level venue, or 1 year later.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Tell me a little bit more about your birding journey and like what species you've seen and what experiences you've had.
Yeah, so for most of my birding journey, I've just been happy to be outside, seeing creatures that are flitting around. I don't necessarily have a list of things I'd love to see, just a list of things that I have seen and that delight me.
Hmm.
Um, the my favorite outing for that is every year my wife's family has a camping trip up in the Boundary Waters.
Oh, nice. Boundary
Uh,
Waters is great.
not canoeing. I don't have a portage soul in me. Just camping up there, but it's nonstop white-throated sparrows, nonstop woodpeckers going back and forth. There's bald eagles. There's everything you could ever want, making appearances here and there and all around. And I kind of just save up all of my birding energy for that. And most of the time, I just walk around and I say, "Hey, that's pretty cool."
Yeah. What's your favorite moment aside from like the Boundary Water stuff? Was there a particular moment with a particular bird that was really just
Mhm.
like stood out?
Oh, absolutely. That would have been, I'm trying to remember what year it was. I believe it was 2022, walking down Johnson Street on the SMS here after being at Caribou, a wonderful, fine establishment, and leaving there somewhat imbibed, walking down the street and seeing a pair of saw-whet owls just sitting on a power line.
Wow, that's kind of strange behavior for them.
I had never seen them in that area before. So it's for one, I was feeling great. For two, having that come out at night and thinking, there's no way that's what that actually is. And then taking the time to poke around, try and get a closer look. That and I took a vacation to Costa Rica this
Mm.
last year, and I took a birding tour from a local ornithologist, and she was just sprinting from place to place to place in this large, wide open area to get better vantage points of things. It's the first time I've had birding be something of a sport. She was moving from spot to spot and pulling up binoculars just to catch a glimpse of one thing here and there, a toucan over there, or a woodpecker over there. And the frenzy and the fervor of it was just like nothing I'd experienced before. And that's something I've tried to capture since. And that is what the song American Woodcock on the album is about. I don't have necessarily a trait to attach it to, but I feel like most people know that because they've seen a video online of it
Yeah,
and
definitely.
it's made them happy. And that's exactly what that song is about. It's just about the facts of birds sparking joy, that it feels like lightning.
Yeah, that one and the it's one of the ptarmigan that makes the Awebo vocalization. I feel like
Oh,
those
I
two have
love that
really
one.
those
I
that
love that
that might
one.
be a good one for a follow-up song, but I feel like those two have really gained a foothold in pop culture of
Oh,
like if you said
mhm.
American woodcock, they probably wouldn't know, but if you're like, oh, the meat bird, they'd be like, oh, that one, you know? And I saw a video of somebody who was like in Canada and they had a picture of a woodcock. It was a woodcock with a baby. And they were like, nobody told me these lived in, where I lived. I thought this was some like crazy Australian
Yeah,
bird. Like they didn't know that it was kind of like something you could find in your backyard.
they're around.
Yeah, which I think is the amazing thing with birding too, because like I didn't know snowy owls came to Wisconsin. I was like,
Hmm.
that's got to be like a thing you travel way up to Harry Potter land or the Arctic Circle to go see. So when I found out that you could find one in the state, I was just blown away by it.
Yeah, I mean, you can find one for the most part. Whenever they come through, there's always many, many posts about it from the Madison birding community. So I don't even have to go and seek them out. I just know where they are and when they're in town. It's like a relative coming and texting you that they're going to stay at your place.
Kind of, yeah. Madison's it's a little more under wraps now, I feel like, than it used to be. Like everything in general is a little more secretive. I feel like just because, people behave poorly sometimes with certain species, like getting too close or trying to bait them or whatever.
Hmm.
But Madison, has a really strong community of birders, and then Milwaukee does too. So I feel like in Wisconsin, we're pretty blessed with a nice community of a lot of dedicated people out searching all the time.
Very much so. I mean, it's easy to tack that on to the legacy of conservation that Wisconsin has, but
Yeah, the Aldo Leopold and,
mhm.
all that.
I think overall, just people that are raised around prairies that can appreciate a prairie are ones that are also able to appreciate birds and the other things that might not be on the cover of Nat Geo of some grand vista, but are able to tap in the moment and find joy in being outdoors with something that you see as beautiful.
Yeah. I saw in an article, or maybe it was a post somewhere where you said you would never leave Wisconsin. Is that you still feel that way?
That's why it's called lifer.
So
Absolutely, yeah.
have you left ever, or have you
I
always?
have.
Well, you've gone to
Yeah.
Costa Rica, but have you ever lived anywhere outside the state?
I did a study abroad program in Spain for
And
a
you're
few.
like, Wisconsin's way better than this. I want to go back home.
um, I've I haven't lived elsewhere, but I know a lot of other people that have, and I hear it the same thing each time that, especially around Madison and this place, it's a story of return, and
I
that
feel like you're right. I feel like a lot of people I know who left come
and
back.
those that leave come back, or those that leave talk about coming back, and that the pressure to move out of the state really hits in that like early 20s, mid 20s period. Um, when the world seems so open and wide and places seem so different. But I just sat back and I realized that all my boxes were getting checked here. And it's hard to argue with happy.
Yeah. I did live in Louisiana for a couple of years for grad school.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say, well, I mean, it was very far south Louisiana, so it was totally flat land, because it's all like river deposit. So there's
Mm-hmm.
like barely any rock and it's just all flat. So when I
Cool.
came back to visit any little hill, I was like, oh my gosh, elevation. Like it was crazy. But I feel like the state is very generally underrated because there's so many activities you can do. It's very family friendly, community oriented. I like the seasons. Some people don't like the winter, but if you can handle the winter, I mean, that's a cool part of having, actual seasons there. And I feel like the Great Lakes really make it special because it basically is like
Yeah.
living on the ocean. And I don't think people understand how vast they are. Like
Mm-hmm.
we had a friend visit from Florida and we did a tour or we took him out for a birding tour and he was like, I always thought you could see Michigan across from the like people don't understand that it basically is just an
No.
ocean. Yeah.
Yeah. One of the beautiful things about Wisconsin is how many different little pockets there are in the state that are so different.
Hmm.
Where you have cities on Lake Michigan, vastly different from cities on Lake Superior, very different feeling. Cities on the Mississippi, on the western side of the state, the driftless area looking like one thing, the northern forest looking like another, good old southeastern Wisconsin looking like another thing, where there's a lot more variety. It tends to be a little bit more subtle than your canyons and valleys, but there's just so much to see. And growing up around Milwaukee, I never went west of Madison growing up, so I didn't know there was the Driftless was as expansive and unique as it was. I'd never seen the bluffs on the Mississippi, and having done that, I only have been kicking myself since.
Have you been to the Spring Green Preserve yet?
Oh yeah, I
Okay.
love the Spring Green
Th-
Preserve. That was
that
my
that's the
birding
one
friend brought me there.
oh yeah, very good.
Mhm.
That's one where I feel like it blows people's mind. It blew my mind. I was like, we have cactuses that you can find. Like if you tell people there's a desert in the middle of Wisconsin, they're just not gonna have any idea what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
I still don't understand it myself, especially just driving past it. It's just a hillside.
Yeah, it's
Is it
crazy,
like
isn't it?
that? Yeah. I've never understood that, but luckily, it just takes that person in your life who's tried those things, who's gone to those places, and shows you that same person. He runs a page called Birding for Your Convenience, goes out on hikes, pulls out the iNaturalist, finds 5 different species of slime molds. Very good with it. He took me to a place called Honey Creek.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, that's the WSO property.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
and following that along the trail along the river, you get some bluffs, but at the end of it is an open cattle field that's full of foot tall ant hills as far as the eye can see, looking completely alien.
Interesting.
Still active. You poke it with a stick, you get ants.
What kind of ants?
Ants?
Okay.
Yeah. So there's always something to discover.
Yeah, for sure. Uh, what role do you think art and music can play in the conservation space?
I think right now it's just all a war of attention
Hmm.
and how our best and brightest that our society produces are going towards trying to capture as much of your attention as possible. What's visible is valued, and if you are not thinking about or looking at certain subjects, certain aspects, certain places, they just won't be as important to you. So having firsthand experience in places, audio and visual, art side of things, being able to connect to the natural world using some of those same stimuli. And the more that it breaks you into it, I think the more it is identity forming as well. And being able to marry the concepts of people's interests and the things that they derive identity from, along with campaigns or conservation efforts, as many different interests as you can combine onto it, makes for a lot stronger push for someone once they've felt like that's a part of themselves.
Sure. Have you had people come up to you who are fans of the music and be like, I tried birding or I started looking at birds because of the music?
Not yet. My dream is that someone will come up to me and say, I can recognize a cardinal now, or something like that. Just any one of
I
them.
feel like that would, yeah, that would make sense if they hear the song enough. It like just gets
Yeah,
drilled into their brain of what,
exactly, as
that
it has
bird
been drilled
sounds
into
like.
mine after listening to
Right.
it 1,000 times.
You just need to make one for every bird in the US and then you'll have all the songs down.
Hey, that's a valiant effort. I mean, there is that there's one artist, I can't remember his name, but he writes a song for every single city.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it's on Spotify. They're all like a minute long. They're all the same song where he just switches up the lyrics.
Oh,
But
well. Oh, he switches up all the lyrics?
yeah.
I thought you were gonna say he just sticks the town name in there, like every
Yeah.
artist is like, there's no city better than Gary, Indiana, or like wherever they're at.
Yeah.
No, it's a little better if he's actually writing a full thing and not just switching one word in there.
Yeah. Like it could be. I mean, a dream of mine is to be some sort of eccentric old coot, and
I
being
okay.
someone with a music catalog of 70 songs about birds, I think would go a long way to get me there.
You could do one called Northern Mockingbird. They could just have like a ridiculous amount of different bird,
Hmm.
vocalizations in there. Keep people
Yeah.
on their toes kind of deal.
Yeah, right. I thought about doing one about the catbird or a starling, and then I thought, there's no way I can pull out something recognizable from this.
From Starling?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is one that you kind of hear it and it's like sometimes they sound like power lines, sometimes they sound
Hmm.
like they're just, goofy little ones. Was there one that you really wanted to put in there that was like too complicated or too like, I don't know, just didn't fit a vibe?
Hmm. Um, Blue Jay, I think.
Okay.
It's got something that's very recognizable, but the call itself is just it's quick and it's sharp. And I didn't think I could feature that enough in
Okay.
something, or just have it not sound like I'm feeding back somewhere.
Gotcha. Cool. So when you're not doing the music stuff, what are you up to?
Well, this summer I got married, which has been
Congratulations.
thank you. So that was a big chunk of it, and
Does
now
she
I'm
like
also
birds and music as well?
she does,
That's
yes.
good.
And I'm also at the age where a lot of my time is spent going to other people's weddings, which
Ah,
I only paid forward by doing that myself. So a very busy summer, as all summers tend to be, of plans that you didn't expect to have. But I'm I'm an avid soccer fan,
okay.
and I find myself a lot just I started fishing this year.
Nice.
That's been the newest addition because I figure I live in Madison. I'm if I am not living in Madison at some point, there's a good chance this is the closest to water I'll ever be just from walking out my door.
What's your go-to lure and species that you try for?
Um, Always a smallmouth,
Okay.
just working man's. Um, and I love a beetle spinner.
Okay.
That's a good jack of all trades, and I figure I always go with a spinner of some sort because if I'm not catching something, and I'm usually not catching something, I want to at least enjoy the action of the lure coming back to me.
Gotcha. Are you in Lake Monona and Mendota then?
Yeah.
fishing for smallies? Are there
Hmm.
a lot in there?
There's a good amount. It's the only issue is that there's a lot of other shore fishermen, and
Hmm.
the fish have learned to a certain degree what to keep and what to avoid. So mostly it's just living off bluegills, which God bless them.
You're not catching those on spinners though, right?
Oh, sometimes, yeah.
Interesting. Those are aggressive
Sometimes on a
bluegills
beetle,
then.
yeah, they'll take a beetle.
Um,
But I find that most of the time it's just me hanging out and the fish hanging out, and those two being completely separate activities.
gotcha. Yeah, fishing's cool. I was looking at something about the topography of, Madison being in between the two lakes. They were like, this looks
Mhm.
like some medieval like game you would play where there's, a city between two bodies of water. So it's really unique architecture of the whole
Right?
place out there.
The isthmus would be perfect for a moat and a castle, if it weren't all swampland
You
and
should
full
bring
of
that up
mosquitoes all the time.
instead of the capital we have now, they should make a castle and a moat with different
Yeah,
things.
I think that'd be a great idea. It'd be the only city with it. Every state's got a capital. How many states have a castle?
That's true. I think we need to do that. What brought you to Madison when you were growing up in Milwaukee?
The classic university route.
So college and then just decided to stay afterward.
Yeah, exactly. Just started to realize that there was a city outside of just the campus area with quite a lot to offer. Wonderful bike trails around, and it's a place that when I talk to other people about, especially ones that have been to Madison, the second you bring up the word, there's sort of like a starry glazed over look that people get in their eyes. And I get it, sort of, especially in the summer. It's kind of like an adult summer camp.
I suppose. You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
It's just a lot of people, especially downtown, out and about, all of a pretty similar age, hanging out, playing volleyball, grilling, riding bikes.
So if you had to rank them, Madison number one, Milwaukee number two, or Milwaukee number one, Madison number two?
Um, Hard not to go with where I live right
I
now.
feel, yeah, that's tough because I feel like I would go the other way. I'd go Milwaukee number one, Madison number two, but
They
I'm
both have
closer to
so much
Milwaukee
to
than
offer.
Madison. Yeah, it's a different vibe though. Madison definitely it feels like a college town to me when you're there.
Mhm.
Milwaukee, even though you have UW Milwaukee, it doesn't feel like it's really built around that school. But Madison is larger. You got to get the football team in shape though.
Some somebody has
They
to.
are
It ain't
looking
me, but
bad.
somebody has to. It's also I feel like it's not a hot take to be like, oh, I love the city where all of my friends live.
Yeah. But yeah, they're kind of struggling this year. What are your favorite things to do in the city?
Um,
If someone was visiting and they
mhm.
were like, I need five things to do that will encapsulate my trip to Madison, what are the five things they should do for
I've had people
anyone coming to visit?
visit that I roll out the red carpet for, and I love doing that just because it makes you be also a tourist in your own city.
Yeah, you appreciate things a lot. You're like, oh yeah, we do have that. Like you are
Exactly.
right. That is
Yeah,
cool.
where you go around and you're explaining like small quirks of your city, like no other city has ever had small quirks before.
Right?
Oh yeah, that's the guy that stands on the corner and dances. Nobody's ever had that before. But it's hard to not start with like the farmers market if it's in the summer, going around and just walking through and going through the Capitol, that beautiful spot. I love Old Brick in large part because it's got a huge free walking path, and there are so many wonderful things to do here
That's
that
the botanical
lots of
garden.
it. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it is really cool.
Yeah, as well as the Chazen Art Museum. Same thing. I always think of if I lived in a different, larger place, maybe a little bit more southeastern, maybe a little bit more Illinois centric. Those places would all have admission fees. And I think the beautiful thing about it is just this is a place that people live.
Yeah.
Where are you based out of?
30 minutes from Milwaukee, like an hour from Madison, like an hour from Horicon, which is pretty solid as far as
Ooh.
like birding destination. Have you been to Horicon?
No, and I kick myself
Dude, you got to
every year.
visit.
I pull it every time migration is underway. I go, oh yeah, this is the weekend, and then I forget about it, and it never happens.
Yeah, it's pretty good all summer. I feel like in the spring it's better. Like we had pretty good when they opened Old Marsh Road. which I think is like June or something. It's closed for a while and then it finally opens. But
Hmm.
normally, like the weekend it opens, there's a lot of people in there and they find cool stuff. Like there was a glossy ibis and a red knot. And then, you always have the chance to see whooping cranes.
Hmm.
But it's just a cool place to be. It's the world's largest freshwater cattail marsh.
Have you made your way to the International Crane Foundation?
No. So that's one thing we've always wanted to do like a whole video on, but it just hasn't. Like we'd love to go there, with someone and kind of do like a tour of the place
Hmm.
and really showcase it so like other people can appreciate it too. And I met George Archibald, the crane guy. He talked at a
Oh wow, the
WSO
crane
convention.
guy.
Yeah, it was really neat to hear him talk about, everything that they're doing and also really sad to hear about some of these cranes and like countries where they have to fly through these war-torn areas and there's no regard for their well-being and they just get shot and hunted down. So like they'll be really protected in one place, but then they'll have to fly through an area where there's no protections. And it's just like, how do you manage that? Like working with a country that just wants to shoot them all. So it's
Hmm.
really tough for some of those crane species in other countries.
Well, thank God for the International Crane Foundation in general.
They're doing good stuff.
They've had so many of those initiatives all over the world and have helped so many populations rebound. And it's just an insane thing that you can go to the former circus capital of Wisconsin and see every type
Is
of.
that what it was? The former circus capital?
Yeah, that's Baraboo. They've
Oh,
got a circus
interesting.
museum there, and they've got however you would classify what the International Crane Foundation is, a walking zoo.
Yeah, I guess it's cool that you can see every crane species in the world there.
Hmm. One thing that really struck me when I was there, despite the fact that some of they have some enclosures for some and other ones can kind of come and go as they please and they come back every time, but just how often some culture where they originated from had seen them as spirits of
Hmm.
people that have passed on or otherworldly beings. And there's just something magnetic about a 5 foot tall ground bird that makes you feel like you're looking straight into the eyes of God.
Yeah, I mean, they're big birds too. Like even seeing the sandhills, sometimes they look like deer out in the field and stuff. And, we almost lost those back in the day.
Yeah. I think things like that are just, I mean, I think it's magic. Those
One,
dinosaurs that you can see walking around.
yeah, I mean, the shoebill, I've never seen one in the wild, but I mean, just looking at that thing, you're like, that looks like a dinosaur, the cassowary. One thing that kind of blew me away. Do you know Pat Reddy?
No.
Okay, he's a big bluebird restoration guy, big Madison birder or big, Dane County area.
Mhm.
But we had him to talk about bluebird recovery because they were really in decline for a while, and then they got a lot of nest box programs. And he made a comment that was like, if we don't keep putting up nest boxes for them, like they would probably just go extinct. So it's like
Wow.
we're now responsible for basically keeping the species alive by keeping homes for them up and keeping that stuff going for them. So it really, it's kind of sad you get to a point where now people are responsible for keeping the species alive because
Mhm.
there's been things to deplete the resources that much or their, nesting locations and stuff.
Wow. So just like past a point of restoration.
It's just like they don't have enough nesting spots on their own where
Mhm.
they could keep, and because of house sparrows and stuff, they're so aggressive that they'll
That'll
come
do
in.
it.
Yeah, and starlings and stuff. So it's like you get all these other factors coming in too. And people's thoughts on that is really all over the map of the people that are like, oh, well, yeah, at what point does it become naturalized in an area? And it's just,
I was
if
just
you're,
going to ask you on what your opinion of having human intervention in maintaining or moving around populations should be.
I think, I mean, with house sparrows, it's to the point of no return. Like, I don't think they're ever going to go anywhere. And it's not their fault that they're here, but I think they should be managed in places where they're endangering a species or causing a ton of harm, if that makes sense. Like something with Kirtland's warblers. Do you know about them? So they're a super rare bird that nests in two states only, in Michigan and Wisconsin now. And they nest a little bit in Canada, but they need these jack pine habitats that are between like a certain height. So the
Mm.
forests have to be managed and rotated, so they constantly have these jack pines that are the particular height that they like. And they trap brown-headed cowbirds in there because they'll go and lay an egg in the Kirtland's warbler nest. It'll outcompete, and then we'll have cowbirds instead of Kirtland's warblers. So they're
Mm.
like actively managing a native species in the brown-headed cowbird because they're trying to protect that, species that's of concern.
Uh,
So, in my opinion, with house sparrows and stuff, we should manage them where it makes sense because I don't think you're ever going to really get rid of them. So some people rage to the point of like they want to get rid of every single house sparrow. Where it's like I don't think we're ever going to get there, and it's not their fault. But if it's really impacting a species of concern that much, then I think you do need to have some intervention.
I agree with that. I
What do
mean,
you think
you got
aside from that?
a species that is can just outcompete in general and is very aggressive about it, about moving their territory. And I think the question of human intervention and where that stands in the natural world and when something becomes endemic versus how long it's been around, if it's an invasive, um, just the ripples that come out of something being completely taken out of an ecosystem, I don't think are anything that can be actually quantified. So having human intervention in the sense that you're there to not maintain a species population in the area, but to maintain everything that it interacts with as well, I think is a pretty important venture.
So would you be like, say you had a property that you owned, would you be in favor of getting rid of all the house sparrows in it? Are you kind of a like just let it be kind of guy?
Um, I'd say monitoring and then whatever the local person who's been in the Sierra Club in my area for the longest time tells me to do.
So you're I'll listen to the what the management says we should
Hmm.
do kind of guy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. 'Cause it is interesting, like with house sparrows, people are so familiar with them that I feel like they do get attached to them. They're just like, oh, those little brown birds I always see outside my house. Like they could never cause any damage. Like they're so cute. Like, and then you send them a link about like, well, here's what they do to baby bluebirds. And then,
Hmm.
I'm sure that's some kind of shattering moment of like, I didn't know the cute birds that lived outside could do that. Or,
Right? Well, because
yeah.
to so many people, they're just the birds.
Yeah, it's all kind of one thing. Or it's like there's seagulls and then there's the little brown ones and then there's a
Hmm.
robin and yeah. I think I think the world would be a better place if everyone was a birder. Not necessarily a hardcore birder, but just like at least noticed and paid attention and appreciated it.
I agree. I got my dad into birding, which, that's not usually the way it goes. Um,
You reversed him.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Um, but one thing that he said about it when my mom was asking him why he was getting into it, why he enjoyed it, was just the more things in your life that you can notice and derive joy from, the better off you are. And being able to pick up a pair of binoculars and look in your backyard and see a warbler in the morning and having that bring you joy, the better off we'd all be.
Yeah. Very well said. Would definitely agree. In Louisiana, I had a friend, Eric Johnson. And when I moved down there, I was like, is it weird not having seasons? And he was like, well, for me, the birds are the seasons. Like in the winter,
Mm.
you have a winter hummingbird season. Then he knew when everything migrated. So, like, well, now it's the season of this, and then it's the season of this other bird. So it kind of what became his calendar, more so. Like it would, and even in Wisconsin, you have the regular season changes, but then you also have, oh, it's shorebird migration. Oh, the fall warblers are going to be here. So it gives you other things to notice and look forward to. So I think that's a good way to put it. And you're even experiencing it now with fish too. You're getting into noticing other things too. How long have you been birding for now?
Um, about 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
I'd say.
I've noticed an interesting trend where people who really are into birds for a while, they flip over into mothing.
Oh,
So like,
yes. Hmm.
looking for different moths and insects, and it seems like it's
Hmm.
kind of the Wild West. Like there's a lot of unknowns about what exactly is all out there, and it's a little quirkier. So, give it 6 more years, you might find yourself as a moth guy putting out a black light and a sheet in your backyard to try to get new species.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It does look fun. I can't knock it.
Yeah, and it's the kind of thing where if you went, like, say you got a, next door neighbor who was really into moths, and he started doing that in your backyard, where I feel like it'd be really easy to get hooked. We have a friend named Alex who was a PhD. He got his PhD from Oklahoma State. And we
Mhm.
went out catching insects with him, and it was really fun to just be like, "What's this one? What's that one?" And he would like, know what they all were and give you some facts about it and stuff. So,
I love that. My goal is just to maintain a casual interest in it until I get to be an older person and can turn that casual interest into something that is more primary. There's a man that is my goal that I see during migration and in one of the parks in Madison. He takes out a bucket and he puts it in the middle of a park and he counts every bird that comes across. And I see him at the end of the day and I ask him what he gets. And he just has this full list of dozens of birds that he's been just sitting out there whipping around attention to. And that seems pretty nice.
you say he puts out a bucket?
Yeah, sits on a bucket.
Oh, he sits on a bucket. Okay, I thought you just meant he like.
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, he's out there for a while.
Okay, so he's kind of doing like a big sit type deal then.
Yes, exactly.
Nice. Yeah. And then, when you travel, there's always new stuff to see too then. So like now any vacation you take is a birdcation.
Yes, much to my wife's enjoyment.
Yeah. I feel like with the music, you could do Costa Rican birds. You could do, you know, so much
Oh,
with it.
there's no rules to any of this.
Yeah.
Could do whatever.
Yeah.
I could just go buy Wingspan expansion packs and to have that be my goal.
You could. Do you play?
Here and there,
I
yeah.
feel like that's the thing that actually piques a lot of people's interest into birds in the first place is that game.
Right? Yeah. Who doesn't love a little game?
I played it once and I thought it was kind of complicated. I was like, I feel like if I played it a couple times and got to understand it a little better, I would probably have enjoyed it more. But I feel like I just kept screwing things up. Like, no, actually, you had to take like that card first, or like you had to do this other, or like you can't put the nest on there. You have to do
Hmm.
X activity or whatever.
Oh, it's definitely like 3 or 4 times before it becomes type 1 fun.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. A little bit of a learning curve. Well, cool, Aaron. Thanks so much for coming on and talking. Anything else you want people to know about the album, Birds, or anything else that you're up to?
I would just say that I'd give 2 lines, and the first one is just the goal with this album is to offer one word, and that is listen to the things in your neighborhood, whether those be birds, whether those be other people, whether those be your local bands. There's a lot of beautiful music being made by a lot of different people and a lot of different species around, and all you have to do is listen.
Nice. Where's the best place for people to stream it?
It's available everywhere. I'll
Is
take
there
the
is there
Spotify
one that
stream
helps
and throw
you
it up.
more as an indie artist though?
Oh God, no. Bandcamp is the only one that actually gives you something.
Okay, so go check it out on Bandcamp then.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Uh,
then secondly, next show coming up that I'm very excited about, did this last year as well at the Gamma Ray on the Square, doing a Halloween show with a couple of ska bands and calling it Skalloween. There's a costume contest. People are encouraged to dress up, and it will be a full ska themed event.
cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, Aaron, and thanks to everyone for watching and listening to this episode of the Badgerland Birding Podcast.